Welcome to the Lucha Lounge. I'm your host, Steve DeMarco. I hope everybody's enjoying their Sunday fun day, or not having a case of the Mondays, or you know what, you're just having a fun day any day of the week. Whenever you're consuming this, and I do appreciate the fact that you do take the time out of your life to listen or watch me, whether you're watching me on YouTube, which is, I'm at video 276, I believe. Wow. Or you listen to me in audio format and you go to the Offshoots Network and you subscribe to either one and you're on episode 33. Crazy to think, man. Wow. Getting close to the end of the year. It's hard to think. But anyway, I digress. Before I continue a little business, first and foremost, September 10th, that will be the next Reality of Wrestling television taping. You gotta come check it out as we make our journey to Christmas Chaos 11. 10 years in the making. In a new building coming off the heels of Summer of Champions. It's called, I believe, Reloaded is the name of the event. Those that were at the last taping, they got to see some history, as usually at Reality Wrestling, some history is being made. Speaking of Summer Champions 3, that's going to start airing this week. Probably by the time this is released, we will have released either an episode on the CW 39, 11 a.m. on Sundays, or you get it on YouTube, or you go to the realitywrestling.com and consume it any which way that you can. Or if you're in the area and can make it to Texas City, September 10th, again, well worth the trip and well worth your time. Trust me. Next week, now I could actually have put out the video with my guest this week. It would be a two-parter, but I had kind of mentioned, hey, I wanted to talk about NXT TakeOver and Summerslam and RAW and Smackdown and kind of how everything has shooken out. Some surprises and whatnot. So I wanted that to be this episode, and next week's episode will feature the founder and leader of Legion, Sean Hendricks, and I, for one, cannot wait for you guys to listen to that one. It'll probably be a two-parter, and I've got some other guests in the works, as well as a topic for a future episode, which I will talk about towards the end of this episode. Now, last week, if you didn't, that was my Summer of Champions 3 review, spoiler free, so those who have yet to see what has happened can go listen to that review or go watch that review, or however you want to consume it, as well as the other ones, because I have some of my guests were actually on Summer of Champions 3. But this week. I had taped the last episode and had yet to see TakeOver, and so Sunday was my fun day because I got to watch TakeOver as well as SummerSlam. So about 7 hours of wrestling in one sitting, and those that say, oh, Raw, whatnot. So I could have probably sat there through 6 hours, and caught the kickoff, but I did not catch the kickoff of SummerSlam, but I did catch TakeOver. Now, for those that are new to, first-time viewers or listeners or what have you, I'm not overly critical of booking decisions or talent to a degree. I just kind of give my impressions overall. Usually it's from a place of positivity, because there is a lot of criticism out there, and I'm just one of those that likes to look on the bright side. So unless it's really glaring or it just... Anyway, so TakeOver, I really enjoyed it, top to bottom. I goes without saying, I think WWE has, another brand, and rightfully so, and it feels so different, and it's so unique to what WWE is doing, and a real testament as far as their popularity when people debut on the main roster, or on Raw or SmackDown. They've already got a following, so to speak, which is really the name of the game. I mean, the name of the game. They are building their brands and whatnot. I really enjoyed TakeOver. As I mentioned, some of the highlights, obviously seeing Hideo Itami back, in a suit, coming out and giving the go to sleep to Austin Aries, who had a pretty solid match with Noe Jose. Noe's impresses me, and I really enjoy Austin's work, but the highlight for me was obviously, as probably well as a lot of people, was Hideo Itami's go to sleep. Now, that's the first time that I'd ever seen the move, so it was really great to see it. It's great to see Hideo at the same time. Me having seen him as Kenta, kind of a different cat than what you see on NXT, and but the good thing maybe with the go to sleep finally being seen and the reaction that it got, hopefully it bodes well for him moving forward, and I think that they've invested time and energy, and I know him coming back from injury. It's going to be, it's tough, but at least they've positioned him in a good way, and what a way to come out and make an impact. Speaking of impacts, congrats to Ember Moon, formerly Athena, formerly, I think she was Trouble for a brief period at PWA. It was really great to see her. Really great to see her in action. Great to see the build-up for her. The fact that she was getting a build-up and not just some random girl that they put out that they gave it some thought, seems to be something that she's wanted to do. The corkscrew stunner, I remember when it was called the O-Face and Gigolo James Johnson had done it, and I've actually been a victim of it before. But it's still such an impressive finisher to go off the top rope the way she does, and then to basically hit a stunner. Really solid stuff, and great stuff from her. And I really am looking forward to seeing what she will do within the women's division, especially with Asuka. And I'll get into that in a minute. Bobby Roode is indeed glorious. That entrance was something else, and I've enjoyed the Gargano, Ciampa glorious bombs. I think they're just genius. Just such a great use of the social medium that we have, and just to make kind of it's great. And the song is phenomenal. In my opinion, it is truly glorious, and great to see Bobby Roode be a part of NXT and get to shine the way that he does. And it speaks volumes that he's already immensely over, because he could be a guy that could definitely transition quickly to the main roster and be a player, I think, because the glorious stuff and just kind of how he carries himself and whatnot. I really thought the tag team match, awesome psychology with the Revival and Gargano and Ciampa. I mean, those guys really put on one hell of a match. I really enjoyed the psychology. Now, it's funny, because I'm watching it with Sam, who came over to watch NXT as well as SummerSlam. And when Gargano tapped out, we both, she was like, man, he didn't even really try, because if you looked at the position of where he was at, the ropes were literally, maybe, I guess, he could have reached out, not even that far, and the fact that he really didn't, and he just kind of, even though it was a great setup for the submission, we coined him Johnny Weak Sauce, hashtag Johnny Weak Sauce. So she kind of pointed it out, and I thought it was pretty funny that he was Johnny Weak Sauce, at least for that night. But again, brilliant match, and not taken away from any of it. It really was a good setup and whatnot. The Revival's just brutal. I really enjoy their work as a team. You can tell that they're a fine-tuned machine, and Ciampa and Gargano didn't lose anything from this. If anything, they gained from it, especially with their work at the Cruiserweight Classic. The women's match between Bayley and Asuka, I thought was really, really solid. Maybe not as... I don't want to be too critical, there was a certain level of magic with it the first time that they did it, and I guess nothing's quite as sweet as the first time you get like an Asuka Bayley. And the redemption story I really enjoyed. But I don't know, there was something a little more special about the the TakeOver Dallas one. Maybe it was a crowd. I don't know. The crowd was pretty solid, you know, and very, very respectful and whatnot. But I thought all in all it was a great send-off for Bayley. It really showed some great character for her. To have Sasha and Charlotte and Becky out there, yeah, it was just something, and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed Bayley's work, and I'm very eager to see what she does on the main roster or on Raw specifically, and for that women's division, because I think she's such a great role model for young ladies and just a great overall true superstar in every sense of the word. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what her popularity, how it really rises with the with being introduced to a larger audience in some respects. But a great outing from her, and what cannot be said, and really I couldn't put into words, the matchup between Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, Nakamura had me at the violin, and just such a great entrance. You talk about the glorious entrance, but Nakamura's was just beautiful. It was art. So unique, such a unique take. And in some ways, perfect in so many ways. Congratulations to him. And wow, man, much respect to Joe. I mean, obviously he got his jaw dislocated late in the match and really wasn't, they really went home from there. But still, man, a solid reign from Joe. And I'm eager to see what they do with him. If they send him up to the main roster, I mean, they could do that. But we shall see. I don't know. Again, enjoy those guys on NXT while they're there, and hopefully, what they do on NXT will translate to Raw and SmackDown wherever they end up. Because I think that's where it's going. I think that's where it's at this point. SummerSlam. Let's see. SummerSlam. Again, I'm almost an hour 3 by the time I'm watching this show, or by the time we get through the first match. So it's an episode of Raw at that point, as far as length goes. But I enjoyed the show for the most part. It had plenty of things that you could talk about after the fact, and I think that's what's important about that show. It really kind of paved the way for what potentially could be the future. And at the same time kind of showcased the right people in the right spots. I mean, I don't have a problem booking decisions with what they do, because ultimately it's their vision, and that's, from a guy who has had his own visions and ran a show and whatnot. I can respect what they're trying to do and where they're trying to go with things and how they're trying to build talent and whatnot. So with that said, I thought it was a great win for Jericho. I really enjoyed their chemistry as a duo. I think they would play well off each other, and I think it really works, man. It works on a lot of different levels. I don't think Cass or Enzo lost anything in the loss. Because at this point they're not in the title picture, and they are a team that really just, with their dynamic, it doesn't take much. And I'm curious to see where they go with it in the future. But again, they're not in the title picture at this point, so yeah. The women's match was great, in my opinion. Sasha, man, kudos to her working through an injury just to, in essence, do the honors. And, it's good that she's resting up at the same time. You were hoping for a long, lengthy run, but given what they did on Raw, I don't think it's really that bad of a deal. She's going to take a break. That's good. Congrats to Charlotte. It's odd that they didn't really make too much mention of the length of reign she had prior to losing the title, but maybe the switch of the name, changing the division's name may have affected the length of time, because now in essence technically she wasn't Divas champion quite as long as Nikki. So yeah, but from a total standpoint, great run, great first run. I'm very eager to see where they go with her, from here, especially with what happens on Raw with Bayley, making her triumphant debut, and what a debut, and I'll get into that in a moment. The New Day, Gallows, Anderson stuff, I understand what they were going for. Such a, they're trying to get the personalities out in Gallows and Anderson, not just be this rough and tough team, because that can only carry you so far. As New Day has proven, you've got to be kind of a well-rounded team, and at the same time show layers that, it's an entertainment format. So sometimes you need to show that comedy side, and really Gallows and Anderson, from a physicality standpoint, as they would prove on Raw, they're not short on it. The Jon Stewart stuff, I'm okay with it. I think every year he needs to come in to the scene of the crime, as long as they do it in Brooklyn every year, and maybe if they go elsewhere next year, he kind of comes with them and he becomes kind of the modern day Pete Rose, where he messes it up. He's just lovable. He likes who he likes. He's gonna say some stuff. The match is what it was. It's this kind of crazy. They made good use of posting somebody. It was good for what it was, and I was fine with Jon Stewart. And I think every year he needs to do something where he impacts the finish, even if maybe next year he impacts Seth Rollins' finish, so they can kind of continue with that story. The match between Styles and Cena was art, man, on so many levels. I really enjoyed what I saw from those two. It's great to see Styles out there really finding his footing. Beating John clean in the middle of the ring without any help is a big stamp of approval for him. At the same time, John doesn't lose anything. I don't think they give John enough credit. I don't think people really have to realize what a special talent he is, and they may not realize it until he's no longer there. Because I tell talent, he's a prime example of what the WWE is looking for, as far as from a formulaic standpoint, with what he can do and how he can kind of ebb and flow and change on the fly, because he's already got, his album, in essence. He's got his album of moves, his album of hits, and he can kind of go to the well and change it, and people know what to expect, and it's great, man. And Styles, man, kudos. I can't wait for Cena to come back. That's the only thing. I want Cena. I wish he had been on Smackdown, only to really but hopefully when he comes back, being a man of his word, he does come out, and the first thing he does is, I would like to say that AJ Styles at SummerSlam was the better man, so to speak, and really and that kind of put the kibosh on it, depending on where Styles is at that point. I really enjoyed Ambrose and Ziggler, but I enjoyed the build-up more. They kind of lost me. I think because the Ziggler, I get where they're coming from. Like, Ambrose is coming off the Stone Cold podcast, and he's probably under this pressure to really step it up, more so because he is the guy holding the title. Regardless of what people think about that, I thought it was a brilliant move to keep it on him. And Ziggler's one of those guys that I, again, really like the story. Been a guy that's had some tough breaks here or there, but I don't know. It kind of lost me to some degree. They had me at the go home with the promo and the super kick out of nowhere, because I'm a big fan of hitting a super kick out of nowhere and somebody selling it like it knocked it, like they were literally knocked out. I really enjoyed it. And I thought it's been some of Ziggler's best work, and it really depends on what they do with them following that. It's really easy to get him lost in the shuffle because of where you want to take other things. The eyes were on him, so hopefully he can maintain that momentum. But I don't know, it kind of lost me. It was great seeing Nikki Bella back. I mean, coming back from a neck injury, not an easy ordeal, and kudos to her for wanting to come back and wanting to continue to perform. And yeah, it was good to see her. You know, the match was what it was. Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, and another point of contention, especially following whether it was the pre-stuff with Ric Flair saying, Finn Balor's a cruiserweight and he's never going to main event, and you kind of go, well, what about Daniel Bryan? What about Shawn Michaels? What about Macho Man too? You know, I mean, I think of guys that are smaller in stature who would gain size, but you know, I mean, Daniel Bryan's kind of a prime example of a guy who main evented, or Shawn to some degree. I mean, given his size, but you don't look at him as a cruiserweight; you look at him as a heavyweight. So I can understand where Flair's coming from, and I have immense respect for Ric Flair, so his opinion really carries a lot of weight for me. But I like Finn Balor. Now, I am like a lot of people, I like the Demon character because it's something, you know. Finn's great. He's a great, humble kid, a great, humble guy, and I enjoy his work. I enjoyed what, I didn't see his Japan stuff till he had already been signed to kind of become familiar with him as Prince Devitt. I have enjoyed the Demon character. My biggest thing is like the Demon character should be totally different than Balor, as far as, because there's a certain level of invincibility with the Demon. I enjoy the entrance because it's a big entrance with big arms and all that. I'm a fan of the big arm stuff. But yeah, also, you know, so the question of putting him over, placement on the card, I believe it was the right move because you really want to push this guy because you want to make a top face, and the idea of making him one of the top guys really speaks volumes to me, that they really wanted to go in that direction, and you know, they have Seth, but Seth had his run, and at the same time it doesn't hurt Seth losing. It's literally a tough injury. When it happens, the fact that when it happened, and the fact that, much like Sami Zayn, Balor was able to finish that match with it, you know, pull it back in place and continue the match the way that he continued it. Very kudos to him. But it's a tough injury. Now, as far as who's at fault, I understand where Bret is coming from. Another guy I have immense respect for. Bret Hart is a true icon in this business, a man that I truly admire from every facet. And again, his opinion, much like Flair's, does carry a lot of gravity for me. And it's odd, you know, you hurt Cena, that's one thing. And you can consider that an accident. Although, again, you know, the objective is not to hurt each other because you have to work the next night, especially if you're on that level. The stuff with Sting, man, I'll put it this way. I was in the ring this week and taking like turnbuckles, just, you know, kind of rolling around, kind of working with people, and just taking turnbuckles and taking the first few flying because I was prepared. I was, and then I wasn't really focused on what was going on, and I had a misstep, and I took it a little bit at a different angle, and it was pretty jarring. So I can only imagine what happened to Sting, but they seemed like safe the way he took it. The one with Balor, that, I mean, if you haven't really worked a lot, and taking a buckle bomb in essence into a barricade is, I mean, your intention might be to catch yourself. I know that, you know, when you're first bumping, that's your body's instinct, is to like make sure you break your fall. Same time, you kind of wonder, oh well, Balor just kind of let himself fall flat. Those are always tough because of the angle, especially, you know, when it's around the neck. There's certain bumps that I've seen that, oh man, you know, like I don't know what to think about that. But again, still a monumental win for Balor, and when he comes back, whether it be 4 months or 6 months, if he comes back around WrestleMania and he just comes back as the Demon, and maybe he's coming after Rollins. Yeah, it writes itself, man. It writes itself. Yeah, I would like to see the Demon King back, and I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of that. And Brock and Orton was what it was supposed to be. It was brutal. It was brutal. Brock is one of those few guys that can go out there and he can do what he does, and it's all about his story, and it's not about your story. He imposes his will. It doesn't matter who you are. I thought the match was good for what it was. It's one of those. It's a Brock Lesnar match. A lot of suplexes. You know what you're going to get. The busting him open, I was fine with it because in some respects it makes sense, Brock, the F5, you kick out of the F5, you're in trouble. It's like he just kind of flips that switch that he's gonna punish you like a great heel would. Gives you his best shot, and you have the audacity to kick out of his masterpiece. I think you're gonna get hurt, and that's what happened. Orton didn't lose anything. If anything, he gained stuff because of the way that the match went off. I'm interested if they will go the Shane Brock route. I don't know. I'm eager. I mean, woo! That could be something. People may not want to see that, but part of me does want to see Brock Lesnar, Shane McMahon. I just only because I think that you'd get Vince, the old man, to go out there and be like, what? Like get in his face. Like that could bring the family together, so to speak. But funny that Stephanie McMahon fined him $500. She had to find him something. It's the equivalent of a slap on the wrist. And at the same time, do you really want to piss off that guy? Brock has built this aura, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Now getting to Raw. The highlights for me really was Bayley. Getting that start, getting that debut, the way she debuted, the way the crowd reacted, the way Charlotte reacted, for her to get the win. And even though she had mentioned on Jericho's podcast she didn't want to be put right into the women's title picture, the fact that she's put into the title picture makes perfect sense. Sasha's gone. You need a strong baby face to challenge Charlotte. You need somebody that will, Charlotte, irregardless of what Charlotte will do, will get that kind of, the face reaction. And Bayley is probably going to be the woman that redefines in an era, much with like the Four Horsewomen, with Charlotte, with Sasha, with Becky, they're really, and Paige and Emma, really laying that groundwork that Natalya laid down. I mean, you think of that the Bellas laid down, this is kind of built the perfect storm, but I think Bayley's going to change the perception of what a woman's wrestler or how women's wrestling is perceived, because she's got such a global appeal. I think the sky's the limit for what she can do, and not just for for that company as well. Man, I cannot wait to see what they do with her and Charlotte, and hopefully that it works. But it was magical, man. It was magical. Thanks to Dudley Boys. If this was their final appearance on Raw, man, kudos to them. Great run. Got brought in, did some good stuff. At the same time, you get out when you can get out, and the way to give Gallows and Anderson kind of that rub with the send-off, still a proper send-off, and a good way of kind of ushering in the new era of like that tough team, that that bully team, so to speak. And but if they come back, or you get Bully Ray, or whatever, however they decide to go, man, safe journeys, my friend. The Balor stuff was heart-wrenching. As positive as he tried, and the fact that he was smiling, and the fact that he was trying to be positive, man, that, because I think he knows it's just a matter of time. He's just got to go through the surgical process and the rehab, and hopefully it works out. And honestly, the fact that it was worse than originally thought speaks volumes to the type of impact that I think anybody in the business kind of goes through. I can only imagine if I ever had to go through surgery, once they opened me up, what they'd find, you know. I fear it to some degree that day, but heart-wrenching. You know, relinquishing the title, but he'll return. And again, he comes back as just the demon around WrestleMania season, or even the Rumble. Ah, man, what a, you know, like, God, he's superhuman, so to speak. But his future's bright, man. At least the immediate future. I mean, once he returns, I think it's, you know, they're gonna keep that rocket on him and just let him go. The four-way for next week, who could be the champ? Rollins, Reigns, Owens, or Big Cass? Personally, give it to Owens. That's my opinion. You got Jericho watching his back, but also Jericho maybe trying to like weasel in, like, hey man, we're buddies. We should you should give me a title shot, so to speak. I think there's more with Owens maybe as champ. But again, depending on the prognosis of well, I don't know, even if Balor's to come back, he doesn't necessarily have to go after the title right away, but he never really lost it, so that would be his claim also. And him and Owens could do some stuff. But yeah, I'm cool with it. And you know, people, Reigns is back in the title picture. Just because he's in the title picture doesn't mean he's going to win it. You know, same thing. And if Rollins wins it, I'd be totally fine with that. But personally, I'd like Owens to win it. Just because. I think, why not pull the trigger? Because it would be Kevin Owens' universe. Could you imagine, man? He just thinks he like runs the universe because he's the Universal Champion. I don't know. I could see him. I could see some entertaining stuff from him. I just discovered, but rediscovered the Ric Flair show. I was subscribed to Woo Nation. Woo Nation. And then I realized that he was not doing episodes, and then I heard that he was doing the Ric Flair show. I think I was listening to Bruce Pritchard's podcast, which is really good, the Something to Wrestle With, I believe is the name of it, don't quote me. But those two I've really enjoyed because Bruce has got a wealth of knowledge and what he's done in the business, and obviously getting to hear stories from Ric Flair, like he had Shawn Michaels and Cody Rhodes. I've listened to those. Those were the 4 episodes that I listened to. And on Smackdown, the titles, another thing they talked about. I don't have a problem with belt design because it's their company. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, if I were to design a belt, it would probably be something else. Who knows? The idea is that the WWF logo, or WWE logo, my apologies, is front and center. I have no issue with it. I have none. Because the side plates are pretty cool. The tag belts actually look better because of the silver color and the blue. There's something about it. I like them. Really depends on who they put those titles on first, because those would be the inaugural champions. But a 6-pack challenge and then that tag team tournament, which should carry them up until Backlash. And it's good that they'll have their own pay-per-view and or special. And it's good that they have titles. You got to. I mean, you could go a different way, but then again, you oversaturate your talent, and you're really trying to build everyone at this point and trying to make everyone important. And what better way than having titles, because those mean something. Surprised by Carmella attacking Nikki, but not really, because Nikki's pinned Carmella at SummerSlam, so it makes sense. Good turn for Carmella. I'm interested to see where they go with it. Again, she's going to be justified in what she does. Bray and Orton could be really good from a match standpoint, from a promo standpoint, from a storyline standpoint. Yeah, I'm very eager to see what they do with that. Good to see Styles as #1 contender, rightfully so. And I do kind of hope that they pull the trigger. Yeah, I do. I think you capitalize on it. You make people chase it because that works for the story. It doesn't take anything away from Ambrose if he loses at a Backlash. You've got to do something that's going to be talked about. Maybe Ziggler's involved somehow. I could see that. Whether it be kind of a heelish turn or, just showing his frustration. I could see him being involved somehow. But I am eager to see Styles and Ambrose in Backlash. I think that's going to be a solid main event. And again, if they pull the trigger, I could see it. I could so see it. Because when Cena returns, it puts him in the title picture, going for the 16th. Oh man! And people would go bonkers because they'd feel like Cena's got to win. Again, I think it could write itself. And if they go that route, awesome. You got a whole team of people. I'm not saying that I came up with it. But if it happens, it happens. Now, talking Smack, I do not see the show. Unfortunately, I may start watching it because it's Renee Young and it's Daniel Bryan and it's pretty awesome. But some noteworthy stuff, not something they talked about even when Michael Cole had Daniel Bryan on his show. I wish they had addressed it. But the Miz stuff, shoot or promo, like this week was. Is it real? Is it not real? Are they messing with us with these title things? Are they listening to the internet? Are they paying attention? What are they doing? That wasn't in the script. This, that, and the other. Everyone's speculating, and my thing is, well, if you're not there, how do you know? Like, I'm not going to try to speculate. Did Orton and Lesnar go off the way it did? It should have. Yes, because they aired it. Even if it's live. If they really wanted you not to see it, they would have turned it off. Just saying. Same thing with Miz and Daniel Bryan. I thought it was brilliant. Whether probably had some realistic undertones. I'm sure Miz gets tired of people undervaluing him, and if I was Miz, I would be pretty pissed off as well. As a performer, you're going out there doing the best with what you're given, and most of the time, Miz knocks it out the park. He's knocked it out the park for a number of years. Guy doesn't get enough credit given where he's come from. The fact that, for a lot of people don't realize, that guy was on The Real World talking about what a huge fan of wrestling he was at a time when not a lot of people were singing its praises, and yet people tend to not realize that. I think his interaction with Daniel Bryan plays off of his interactions with Daniel Bryan from the past. It's such a great story. I mean, these two guys have been linked to each other since day one. Literally since Daniel Bryan's debut. And people going, why would he be coached by Miz? He's so much better than Miz. And yet without Miz, I don't think you get that kind of response because we weren't at that point. There was no Cruiserweight Classic. So, shoot promo, whatever you want to think it was brilliant in my mind because it resonated. You listen to it, you believe that Miz, man, it was a good piece of business. People are talking about it. It's been downloaded and been viewed so many amples of time. And people are analyzing it, trying to figure it out. The truth is, man, congratulate the performer and really pay attention to what he does. And to think that people were saying he was in a throwaway match at SummerSlam. He just wins his matches at this point, or he retains. I mean, he's making a lot of, about the number of days. I'm curious to see how far they go with it, and who knows. You give that guy a long enough run with that title, people start to talk, but he'd have to have a significant run, almost honky-tonk man style. I don't know if they're going to do it for that long, but again, great effort from both guys. And if Daniel Bryan comes back even to do a street fight or something like that, even if it wasn't something like a 5-star match, because he'd have to be something different, and he's kind of alluded to doing something different because he'd have to change his style to eliminate maybe some of the bigger bumps. He's still overtly popular, and the truth is that people would just hate to see him perform. let's see. It's great. You know, the fact that we weren't even thinking about Daniel Bryan returning to the ring, and now that it's a potential and possibility, and they're kind of throwing out hints. I'm interested to see where they go with it. Now, Impact Wrestling. This is an all WWE. I did watch some Impact Wrestling this week. Congrats to Allie, playing her role well. Congrats to her for winning the Knockouts title. I'm curious to see where they go with it. Maybe she continues to retain it, or she gets destroyed the next time she faces Sienna. But kudos to her. I've really enjoyed her work on Impact. I'm interested in seeing where the Decay, Broken Matt, Brother Nero saga goes to. If they do go to a final deletion 2. Delete! I love it, man. The Broken Matt character, I listened to the Jericho podcast, I have to say. Next to Stardust appearance on Booker T's Heated Conversations, it was one of my favorite. He was one of my favorite guests because he was just in it the whole time. You start to kind of go, he believes it. Awesome. The Brother Nero stuff I'm okay with. I'm waiting for him to fully embrace it. He embraces the Brother Nero stuff, the obsolete stuff, and he doesn't care what the fan, he truly morphs into what Matt wants. It'd be great if, although you don't want to see Matt become unbroken, but wouldn't it be something if Matt regains his sanity to some degree and Jeff is truly broken and Matt has to gain him back to sanity? Like, what if that's the payoff? Because that would be a brilliant piece of, like, a story arc, like a true story arc. Like, enjoy Broken Matt while it lasts, because you don't know. I mean, this is it's something now. I'm just eager to see where they go with it. If Decay invades the Hardy, kingdom, and with Vanguard 1 and just Brother Nero just trying not to jump off stuff, but ultimately crashing and burning, it's going to be interesting, man. And Broken Matt has been a revelation, and I've really enjoyed it, and great work from him. I really enjoyed the vignettes between EC3 and Galloway. I thought the two guys drinking and in essence trying to hug it out before their matchup was good stuff. Well shot, very different. Just different. I really liked it. Yeah, I really liked it. So yeah. And finally, the Cruiserweight Classic. As always, all the matches were solid. I'm loving Rich Swann. His charisma is unparalleled there, as far as I'm concerned. Just a certain type of charisma. You really want to see him do well. I thought his matchup was solid. Those two really went out there and did well and showed great chemistry and a lot of good counters and a good story. And Rich, man, congratulations. I'm starting to become more of a fan of Zack Sabre Jr. I hadn't seen Zack Sabre Jr.'s work until really he got to the Cruiserweight Classic. And so it's a different style, but I can greatly appreciate it. I mean, some of the counters here between him and Drew Gulak were something else, man. They were definitely something else. I really found myself enjoying it and immersed in what they were doing, and it was a really good showing for both guys. And Zach, has the potential of being something really special on whether it be NXT or WWE, depending on what they do with the Cruiserweight Classic. I mean, my thought is still like Brian Kendrick. It's kind of this aging, we'll do whatever it takes to win. And I'm curious to see what they do with if they bring out a Cruiserweight title, or if it'll be the trophy, or if the trophy's just kind of just for that tournament, if they continue that tournament moving forward. Because I think that'd be a great way of continuing to bring an influx of talent. And who knows, with the success of these type of scenarios, whether it be a something like this or a tag tournament or whatever have you. I mean, maybe the next one is like for heavyweights. just to kind of see, kind of doing the same thing, kind of Ultimate Fighter-esque to a degree, but more Cruiserweight Classic, but, just kind of a different type of thing. Or like the Ultimate Sports Entertainer or whatever have you. And then Perkins and Gargano, I thought it was a solid match. Really good to see Perkins getting the win. I think he's had a great run. I was a fan of his, I've enjoyed his work. And Gargano definitely was not Johnny Weak Sauce in this take. I really enjoyed his work, and I enjoyed my week watching this wonderful world of wrestling. Now, I did mention that I was pitched a topic by my buddy Hugh McCune. He had actually pitched one, and by that point I had already come up with an idea of what I wanted to do for the show. And this one might be an episode in itself. More than likely, that's what's going to happen. It's more than likely going to happen in a couple weeks, maybe a month. Sorry, Hugh. I will at some point address this. And if I don't address it in the next couple of shows, then I'll try to do it in an intro. But we shall see. But he wanted to hear a discussion of old school stars I always found underrated, both mainstream and independent-wise, and even up-and-comers. I think a top 10 of each would be great, being your knowledge of talent around the world and adventures you have had. It would make for a great listen, in my opinion. So thanks, Hugh, for that, for those nice, kind words. I will have to think about a top 10, whether it be, I would probably look at, guys when I first broke in, like those early years, maybe even around the PCW days, and to what I currently see, whether it be reality wrestling or just overall. So give me maybe a month. Or I might do like top 10 at the beginning of the next show. Who knows? I don't know. I've got to give it some thought, because I honestly want to give it some thought. But Hugh, I appreciate that very much. Now, next week, again, as I mentioned before, will be my sit-down conversation, part 1, more than likely, because we talked about an hour and a half, so depending. I'm going to listen to it over the course of the week and determine where I'm going to go with it. Whether it be one part or two part, more than likely a two-parter. That way it gives me a little bit of time to gather some more, guests, because I like to have guests on my show, and I've got a couple lined up in the coming weeks. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Trying to think if there's anything else. From a personal standpoint, been training about the last 8 weeks. I've been, I started about 10 weeks ago, because the last couple weeks have been a roller coaster to say the least. But was doing the Body Beast series, and then I took, last week I took off primarily to rest, because, just giving my body a chance to kind of recover from some of the workouts that I had been doing. And then this week I just really got back into yoga, just to kind of get back into it. Because probably even starting today, I'm going to do a little amp up my cardio, probably add insanity to my routine. So at that point it will be DDP yoga, which I do almost every day, or any day that I work out. I try to implement some level of DDP yoga. And then it will be Body Beast for my weights. But I may start going to the gym, so I may alter that workout a little bit, and I'll let people know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't like going too much in depth. And then insanity for some cardio, but I plan on going into the ring a couple of times next week, just to kind of, because it is really good cardio to get in there, kind of work on my timing, see where I'm at. And it's been a couple of years since I've really gotten in the ring, so it's been a little over a couple of years, but I'm feeling good for the most part, and just eager to see where it goes, man. I'm enjoying, losing some of this excess weight, and My diet's pretty solid. It's hit or miss. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I love food. I love bad foods, but I'm using like a MyFitnessPal app, which is really kind of helping monitor what I put into my system, and it's pretty good. It kind of keeps you honest, which is good. It's become a big part of my routine. So I've got to enjoy. I got to say, I got to appreciate Sam for kind of helping me get that kick started. I mean, it's been a long road, but I think I'm coming out on the other side, and it looks bright. And I'm eager to see where the future takes me. I appreciate all those that sit back and relax and enjoy these episodes. Again, next week, Sean Hendricks. I really had a lot of fun sitting down with that guy and chatting it up about this industry and his take on things. And it was definitely a different side of Sean that I don't think a lot of people see. And it was great to get to know him a little bit better. So yeah, I think that's about it. So as I always like to end these, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy. But you're all those. Especially if you had a portal gun like Rick and Morty. If you had Rick Sanchez's portal gun. This is from Loot Crate. I may talk about my experience with Loot Crate, my last 6 months with Loot Crate. Not all good. But I digress. That's for another time. So, again, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy, but you're all those because you sat back, relaxed, and enjoyed my thoughts on WWE invading Brooklyn and other things that I saw this week. And until the next time, leave!